I didn't pay anything for my copy of The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt, and that bothers me. Getting to enjoy this modern RPG masterpiece's incredible world, unique and emotional story, and revamped and truly excellent gameplay for nothing made me feel like I owed at least something. I paid over $100 for games and DLC that offer nowhere close to the amount of enjoyment that I got with this game. The best things in life really are free, as they say. No, I didn't illegally download it or steal it. A download of the game came free with my GeForce GTX 970 graphics card that I purchased around the time of the game's release, and that was bought specifically for this game in mind. So it really worked out. Geralt is one of the more interesting characters I've had the chance to play as throughout my gaming years. Geralt is tough. He's learned to steel himself in a world that is hostile to his kind, and is devoid of most human emotion due to the extreme mutations he was subjected to. People need him though, as he is one of a handful of witchers who are proficient in killing monsters like vampires, werewolves, and giant plants that make smaller plants that explode. Yep, they're as annoying as they sound. It can sometimes be perplexing to play a character who is supposed to not feel anything, but as you play more as Geralt, you realize there is more to him than meets the eye. Traces of the real Geralt can be seen through the cracks when he laughs with an old friend about previous adventures, or when he accepts the thanks of a person he saved from some deadly situation. You also get to decide who Geralt is to some extent, although dialogue options are limited to just a few predetermined responses. There were multiple times where I would think about what Geralt would do in any given situation, not just what I would do myself. This showed me that I was invested in Geralt and his journey, not just controlling him to get to the next dungeon, or for a new sword, or for a point on the map. These situations and stories you find yourself caught up in are where the real beauty of The Witcher 3 shows. The game has a relatively straightforward main story. Geralt is on a quest to find his long-lost surrogate daughter, Ciri, who is needed because she is the heir to the throne of Nilfgaard, one of the factions warring for control of The Witcher 3's world. As you set off on your journey, the world quickly opens up into one that is truly massive in every conceivable way. You aren't just looking for clues or information on Ciri's whereabouts, you're helping an entire province in the middle of full-out war, or helping guide a nation into a new era by appointing a new ruler to its throne. The narrative is an immaculately crafted web of side quests and objectives that most of the time directly influence the outcome of one another. What ramifications could this decision possibly have, I would find myself continually asking, only to find out later that something I did a few short hours ago had a huge impact on what happened later. What's truly remarkable about all the things to do in The Witcher 3 is that it never loses any of the attention to detail sometimes side quests don't receive in relation to a game's main quest. Every side quest has fully choreographed cutscenes, most feature multiple different outcomes and rewards. Some of them were even more memorable than the storylines of entire games that I've played. Do you murder this person you were sent to kill, or do you save him hoping it will change the outcome? Do you again fall in love with the woman you were destined to love forever, or are you content to break the mold and move on? What side do you take in a village terrorized by a terrible monster, and how will that decision affect who lives and who dies? Do you play Gwent against this random dude with a diaper in the street, or do you kill him and take his tattered shirt and rare cards? These are the tough decisions you'll have to make throughout the entire game. And let's take a moment to talk about Gwent, shall we? Gwent is a fully playable card game, complete with its own rules and collection of cards to seek out in the world. Not only is it uncommon for a game to have a fully fleshed out sub-game contained within, but it's also surprisingly one of the best parts of the entire game. Whenever I would arrive in a new town, my first priority would always be to run around the different houses and shops, looking for a new opponent to try my hand against and hopefully win a rare card. It can somewhat be disconnecting though when you talk to someone under dire circumstances, only to ask him if he wants to play a round of cards while a dragon abducts people a half mile down the road. Oh well, there'll be plenty of time to burn that thing with Igni or knock it down with Ard later. Killing the assorted monsters and enemies you'll face is the main activity you'll be doing in The Witcher 3, and it makes incredible strides over its previous iterations. Compared to the combat in The Witcher 2 and the incredibly dull combat of the original, The Witcher 3 is more responsive and visceral. Controlling Geralt is smooth as butter, and everything happens precisely and feels great to execute. Every Geralt will be doing the same things, swinging swords, casting one of 5 magical signs, and throwing bombs, but The Witcher 3 has a large amount of depth in its systems. You can focus on whatever aspect of witchering you want Geralt to be best at, and have multiple options within those different aspects. The game gives you complete freedom to pick and choose from a wide variety of skills, augmentations, and upgrades to deck your character out with. Will you be a sword-spinning tank who attacks first and asks questions later? Or do you want to eventually use the shield-spawning sign Quen to create a bubble that reflects damage and heals you? The choice is up to you, and you'll have plenty of opportunities within the world to try out and refine your specific build. And what a world it is! Not only the game world you'll be exploring is huge, it's also filled to the brim with not only the aforementioned side quests, but bandit camps to raid, secret treasures to find, and interesting and varied locales to explore. It's hard to not just slowly pan the camera around as you walk from the fast travel sign to your next quest and just look in awe at the game's visuals. The dark, dirty, and abrasive setting of Velen somehow is made great to look at. The trees flow in the wind as the reflections appear in the filthy swamp water. My favorite location was Skellige by far, a Viking-inspired tundra with huge mountain ranges and surrounded by sea. It's such a stark contrast from the gritty-looking Velen, and adds to the sense of scope to the game. I've never been so content to just exist and admire the beauty of a video game world. Walking down a winding mountain road as snow lightly falls from the sky, the blissful silence pierced by the gentle opera-style singing of the game's incredible soundtrack is truly an experience to behold. Games don't usually bring out this much emotion from me, but The Witcher 3 does its absolute best to transport your existence and all the feelings that go with it into its world, and it does a great job. If you've never played The Witcher 3 before, and you're wondering why everyone loves it so much, it's this. The game does its absolute best to make sure every single part of it is as good as it possibly can be. There is no filler to be found here, just an experience that transcends the idea that a game is just supposed to be an activity, with enough character and heart thrown in after to make you care about it. The game is an investment. It caters to the gamer who wants a portal they can step through into another world at the end of the day. If you want a conduit for your emotions, to see how you would feel if you could live in a universe like this, you don't need to look any further than The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt.